Portions of the following program may have been pre-recorded.
The following programs, views, claims, or ideas may not reflect those of WSRR Radio or WSRRradio.com. Viewer discretion is advised.
And now, we take you behind enemy lines with Lucas DeRazio and Dom Ferro on WSRR Radio.
All Browns fans will go to heaven where football season's never ending. The leaves have changed, smell it in the air. Where every morning is a Sunday morning, the grill is firing and the drinks are pouring. All Browns fans will go to heaven and our Modell can go to hell.
Welcome back to Behind Enemy Lines right here on WSRR Radio, nationally local, meaning we play your local bands on a national stage, coast to coast. This is your Cleveland sports talk show from Pittsburgh and now from Philadelphia as well. I'm Lucas DeRazio, joined as always by Dom Ferro. We are recording on Thursday, August 6th at 2:26 p.m. and you guys are listening on WSRR Radio at 10 o'clock in the morning on your Friday, getting ready for the big weekend. First NFL preseason game coming up this weekend, right, Dom? We are officially here. We're in August. This month, I saw something that like this Sunday, there's going to be NFL football on. And from now until February, every Sunday we'll have NFL football. I'm really hitting that dragging point right now of like where I've been off the last couple days. I've been like, something is wrong. And like, I really think it's the fact that I have no interest in any live sports that are going on right now. You know, I'm not a baseball guy. NFL's coming up quick. Basketball's in like the biggest, nothing point of the off season. Getting geared up for college football and NFL football. I'm like chomping at the bit for it to start.
Yeah, I'm absolutely pumped. It's right about that time where you're starting to do the mock drafts for fantasy football. You're starting to look at your teams and all the teams in the NFL, looking at their schedules and stuff, starting to scheme up, trying to think, oh, this is one I'm definitely going to want to watch, stuff like that. And it's officially football season because we did our over-unders last week. Make sure you check that out if you missed it. But yeah, it's you can feel it in the air. It's football season.
It definitely is. And yeah, I feel like I was like really in that limbo where it's like, I was like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, it's nice outside. Like, I should be doing things. Like, nothing's interesting me right now. Like, I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I was like, you know what? Like, everything's going to be fine once football season gets here.
That's right.
That first Sunday of watching football, sitting around all day, having like a couple of screens up, maybe Red Zone on one of them. That's just going to hit like crack. I actually got my mom asked me if I was going to be interested this year in going to the Steelers-Falcons game in week 1 in Pittsburgh. And I was like, actually, I really should. It would be good time to go back to Pittsburgh, see all my friends there, get to watch the Falcons and Steelers in person, hoping that my guy Dylan Drummond makes the Falcons roster. Would have loved to go see him. So that was kind of the mindset around it all. But I was like, do I want to give up the Sunday at 1 o'clock feeling of week 1 where you're sitting on the couch, you're maybe even a little bit hungover from the night before, you've got like some food there, you just have nothing planned for the entire day and you can sit on the couch and just watch football. Like, I don't know if that's as cool as it would be, as great as it would be to go back, visit my Pittsburgh friends, see an NFL game on the, in Steelers home opener, week 1. I just feel like, and I think we've talked about that enough on this show, like that as great it is to go to a game, like it is tough to beat the experience of a Sunday at 1 o'clock on the East Coast watching all the games.
100%. Football is the best on television. One, because like you said, you can see everything that's going on in the league, but just the coverage is perfect. They've got it. They've just perfected it over the years. So it's beautiful. It's everything you could ask for on television. So, yeah, I get that. I get not wanting to miss week 1 on the couch. Like, it's crazy to say that, but it is the only spot you want to be sometimes. I mean, opening day is awesome. Like, that opening kickoff is going to be awesome. The crowd's going to be insane just because it's going to be the like highest point of optimism you're going to see. So when Rodgers comes out, they're going to go nuts. When the Falcons come out, they're going to be harassing them. So it could be fun. The only thing I don't love about the opening kickoff going on those type of games is it's still like pretty hot. If you catch it on a day where it's like 85 degrees, it's like this ain't right. So
85 degrees sitting in an NFL stadium directly in sunlight, like all of a sudden becomes 120 degrees.
Oh, 100%.
Like it's one of the hottest I've ever been was on a Sunday in like late September, maybe even early October. I went to a Browns game. Maybe even early November it was. I went to a Browns game against the Patriots, and it was the first year that we had Deshaun Watson, so Jacoby Brissett was the starting quarterback, and like I was like ready to be like cold because I was like, oh, it's the fall, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in the Muni lot doing some tailgating, and like I was in sweatpants and like a jersey with a hoodie underneath and like a winter cap, and you go up there, you're up in the third, in the upper deck, and the sun's beating down on you. Like I was so hot, like I was like peeling off layers at some point. Like I just feel like it's a different type of heat on that Sunday. And again, maybe it is because you got a couple drinks in you and stuff like that. But like I was like, oh my, like it was. I had to go stand in the concourse for a couple of minutes. Missed a couple snaps.
Now there's probably a reason for this, but I'm not smart enough to understand. But why is it so much hotter when you're just sitting or standing still in the sun than if you're walking around in the sun?
I think you're just getting beat down on that the rays. The rays are just hitting you directly.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I think that's maybe what it is.
But like, let's say you're in the middle of a field, like you're still getting hit by the rays while you're walking around. It's not like you're going. You're also shadows.
You're also packed in there with another 80,000 people.
Well,
so I feel like maybe that's some of it too. And
I'm saying even
you're
by
not
myself,
moving around,
though,
getting some wind flow on you. I don't know.
Someone smarter than us, message in, please.
Please tell us. Actually, the NFL Hall of Fame game is tonight. I wasn't even fully aware of that.
Kenny Pickett, baby.
This is. I was going to say this is like the ultimate snoozer of a Hall of Fame game. The Cardinals and the Panthers are playing against each other, which are two teams that, I mean, like the Panthers are, very likely to win their division, like, or at least fight for a spot at the top of their division. The Cardinals, like we said last week, are one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst team going into 2026. So this is like, I don't know if there's much intrigue around this, but I feel like I still have to turn it on tonight.
Yeah, I'll be watching this entire game, even though it's going to be some bad football. Kenny Pickett,
the entirety of the game?
I'm most likely. What else am I going to watch? I'll probably change my tune once we get to halftime, but Kenny Pickett versus Carson Beck. I mean, it's kind of an interesting quarterback matchup. Better than ones we've had in the past, I feel like.
Yeah, is Carson Beck getting the start?
He is.
Oh, there we go. You got to love to see that.
And of course,
now,
Kenny Pickett.
What is there any other, like, obviously Bryce Young, but like, is there any other intriguing backup quarterbacks, or is Kenny Pickett? There's no way Kenny Pickett plays more than like a quarter or two, right? Like he's been in the league for however many years, 5 years now.
Yeah, that's
6 years. How long even?
Oh, that's a good question. I think he got drafted in, let's say, like 2022.
Yeah, 22, I think it was.
Yeah, so it's probably his fourth or fifth season.
Couldn't tell you who else the Panthers have at
third quarterback says is Haynes King, who is a rookie from Georgia Tech.
The Georgia Tech, yeah, okay, I like that. A little Texas A&M transfer to Georgia Tech. He was a Heisman candidate for a little bit there.
So that one could be interesting. Another guy who I'm interested to watch is Jonathan Brooks, a guy who's going into his third season, but I think he's only played like one game in the NFL. He was a second round. I think he was the first running back taken in the 2024 NFL draft. But he's just kept on having bad injuries these last couple seasons he's been in the league. So interested to see him. Hopefully we see Ted McMillan on the first drive, but I would doubt it. And then the other news out of the Panthers recently, they're the receiver that they picked in the draft this year. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's going to end up missing the entire season.
Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Something Brazil.
Yeah. So Ted McMillan, he's back. He's the number one guy. You know where?
Yeah, Chris.
You know this is a Ted McMillan show.
Chris Brazil the second is going to be sitting out for the entire year, unfortunately, after an injury from Tennessee. So we'll see how that goes for him. You got to feel for a rookie having to sit out their whole rookie year. That's tough.
We'll be back strong.
Season-ending knee surgery for Chris Brazil. But yeah, this will be fun. I mean, we get to watch some NFL football. You get to see some old faces in new places. And I think that's kind of going to be one of the themes of today's episode, is talking about some of the biggest movers in the off season and seeing them in some new jerseys. Kenny Pickett is certainly one of them, making his Panthers debut tonight. So let us know, how he did. You guys are listening to this into the future. So hopefully, you guys got to see 15 two-glove Penny slinging it around. Two-glove Kenny, excuse me. Penny, like Hardaway. So it should be a fun one, though. I'm excited to watch some football. I don't care if it is meaningless. I saw someone say, like, if you're watching fourth quarter preseason football, like, you're a sicko, like you're the same level of like sports autistic as like someone who watches every single game of the baseball season. And I was like, I kind of disagree, because like, I don't know, maybe I am actually, maybe I'm trying to cope, but like, I don't know. It's you've been sitting out of football for so long, like you want to see it, and like it is interesting to see some of these guys who like make the team, even if it is like 1 out of 100 times that you watch some random guy make a play in the fourth quarter. If you see that one and then they end up catching a touchdown later in the season, you're like, hell yeah, I believed in that guy.
Yeah, that is pretty fun to like find your guy in preseason. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like the off season is the longest in the NFL. So like we're really chomping to get some NFL action here. So it does mean more, and you only get to see these guys play once a week. So they're not playing 162 times like baseball. So yeah, I think watching preseason, especially watching your team, I think that's totally normal.
Yeah, there's nothing better than it. All right, so Dom, let's get into some of these movers and shakers from the off season. Who are you excited to see? Who do you think is going to thrive in a new city, new uniform, new system, new people? What's like the biggest off season move that maybe was even a little under the radar do you think is going to make a big difference? I know we've got some more that keep coming up. You mentioned to me right before we started recording, Stephon Diggs just signed with the Commanders, which I think we'll probably get to that later. But who are you excited to see in a new spot this year?
Well, the easy answer is Myles Garrett with the Rams, because
of course.
He's out of the AFC North. I don't have to worry about him tormenting the Steelers anymore.
Now you can be a fan of him.
Yeah.
Now you can go to be. It's funny because over the last however many years you've been like, no, Myles Garrett, he's TJ Watt's better, like blah blah blah. Maybe not the last couple of years, but throughout their career, those two have been compared to each other. And I was always like, Myles Garrett's the best in the league, and you always were very trying to dismiss that. And now I feel like you're gonna accept that a little more.
Well, I did start kind of accepting that last season, I think, just because, I mean, just comparing their performances last season, it's hard to say that TJ Watt is the better player than him, but it is going to be easier to root for him on the Rams. I will say that, and it's going to be,
the Rams are a team. I said it last week. The Rams are a team that people are going to want to root for. They're a lot of people's Super Bowl favorite, and why not? I
think the most interesting thing is just seeing how he's going to play on a team that's so good. He's not going to be playing on a team that's, trying to come back from behind all the time. He's going to be playing on a team that is probably going to be up. He's probably going to be going in much more like passing situations. So he's going to have more sack opportunities. I think we talked about off air. I think he has a really good chance to break his own record again this season.
I mean, really, there's no other reason. There's no reason not to for him. Rams also made a big move. Trent McDuffie going to the Rams, cornerback, adding to that secondary.
Yeah,
I think that should be interesting. Quentin Lake will be their nickel. They'll be fine. I mean, like I said, there's no reason not. I feel like no one's upset that the Rams are a very possible like Super Bowl winner and Super Bowl favorite.
And then also hot off the press, Aaron Donald working out with the Rams yesterday on Wednesday.
Yeah, and this is one you've been on for a while. You were on this right when the Myles Garrett trade happened. You were like, Aaron Donald's going to come back. He's going to play with him. And I was like, no chance. But you stayed on that train.
It just makes too much sense. Like, this is like the team of destiny almost. Like, it's the the perfect roster to make a Super Bowl run. And now you have Myles Garrett on the other side. It's not like Aaron Donald would have to play like all the snaps. They aren't asking for him to be the hero that he was back in when he retired, 2023, I think. And
maybe even before that.
Yeah,
I think. I'm not sure.
Might be 22.
22.
But I mean, he retired at the top of his game. So, and everything we've seen from him online, he's still like in tip-top shape. And him working out at the Rams, that pretty much, to me, that seems like that's a close case. Like he's going to be a Ram this season.
Yeah, we'll see. It should be interesting.
Like, why do you have an official workout with Aaron Donald, like one of the greatest defenders of all time?
What if it's just a way for him to see how he's feeling? What if he was like, yeah, maybe, and they're begging him to do it. He comes back and he's like, I'm not feeling great.
I think he knows. I think he knows how he feels. He still thinks he's the best. He still thinks that he could be one of the most dominant players in the league, and I think he's right.
All right. Well, there's from those two D linemen, one of them leaving from the AFC North to two guys coming into the AFC North. A couple other big D line signings. Dexter Lawrence traded from the New York Giants to the Bengals. I think this is going to be a huge move for the Bengals. Obviously, they needed some help on their defense, and I think that interior defensive line is like one of the most thankless positions from a lot of like, sports commentators and people who watch the game casually. But like, these are guys that make the difference in a game, is the interior D lineman and offensive line. And Dexter Lawrence is one of the best in the game right now. This is going to be huge for the Bengals. And I mean, obviously the last however many years, the big story is like they have an amazing offense. They got Joe Burrow, they got Jamar Chase, they got T. Higgins, but their defense sucks. So They lose Trey Hendrickson, but they get Dexter Lawrence to help up the middle of the D line.
Yeah, and I think that's a big upgrade for them. They're definitely different type of players, but I think Dexter Lawrence shoring up the trenches. I think that's going to be big for the Bengals as well. He scares me more than Trey Hendrickson did. So
really,
yeah, for sure.
And I think it's because he can do both too. Like he's great against the run, obviously. Like he can plug holes, he can take up two gaps, just by himself. But he can also rush the passer and get after the quarterback. Trey Hendrickson, he's no slouch against the run, but I think on the interior, that does make a little bit more of an impact. So we'll see. I saw a video yesterday, I think it was, of Dexter Lawrence in Bengals training camp. And like he's coming off of a block, and Chase Brown, their starting running back, is like coming around. He's trying to come, off the back of the block. And Dexter Lawrence just reaches out and basically like backhand grabs like right on his chest plate and just fully stops Chase Brown. Now, Chase Brown's not the biggest guy, but like he's still an NFL running back. Like he just reaches out, grabs him, and like pulls him back like right at the line of scrimmage, like effortlessly. Like this is a bear of a man, Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, he's a massive human being. Definitely scary in the AFC North.
Yeah, and then again, AFC North, another defensive lineman, Trey Hendrickson, staying in the AFC North, going from the Bengals to the Ravens. This is another big move. And again, they tried to get Max Crosby. Before that, he failed his physical. There was a lot of talk about, like, did they sign Trey Hendrickson as the backup plan, or were they going to try to get both of these guys? It's kind of up in the air. But anyways, now they do have Trey Hendrickson. Does this make a difference for the Ravens at all?
Yeah, I think it has to. I mean, he's still like an all-pro player, but again, like Hendrickson has never been a guy that's like really scared me as far as like the Steelers playing him. So it doesn't like mean a ton to me, but he's definitely going to have his moments with the Ravens. So it's that defense was already pretty good. I think this helps it for sure.
All right, another couple of more D lineman moves. Jalen Phillips going to the Carolina Panthers. I think that's a big help for them. I'm curious if, like, again, I think the Panthers have a great opportunity to win their division this year, but like, I feel like no one really sees anyone from that division winning a playoff game. Do you?
Yeah, no, you'd have to get super lucky. I mean, it depends on how hot the Panthers get. I don't see the Buccaneers winning a playoff game just because of their head coach, but the Panthers, like if they, if they pick up where they left off last season, I think they could find a way to win a game.
Couple more defensive moves. Tariq Woolen going from the Seahawks, the Super Bowl champion Seahawks, to the Philadelphia Eagles. They lost Reed Blankenship, did the Eagles, so they're shoring up their secondary a little bit more. Another big one that I think went under the radar a little bit. This is a guy who I think helps out a team in that weak NFC division, is Alex Anzalone, the linebacker going from the Lions to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's ranked as the 49th biggest offseason acquisition on ESPN's list. I think that's a guy who's like going to go under the radar, but is going to make a huge impact in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I feel like he's had like a decent amount of injury problems the last few years, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's
a guy that flies around though. When he is healthy, he makes it. You can't help but notice the long blonde hair flying around the field
for sure. You can't.
So I think that'll be something they'll see in Tampa Bay this year, and I don't think he'll be I don't think it'll take long for the Buccaneers fans to quickly recognize Alex Anzalone for the gem and the huge acquisition that he has been. And we thank you guys for recognizing this as a gem of a show for your Friday morning. So stick with us right here on WSRR Radio for more Behind Enemy Lines after some words from our great sponsors.
Synergy Music Studio offers a diverse array of musical services specifically crafted to meet their clients' needs. Discover how Synergy can bring your vision to life today. Not only do they support the local music scene in Chicago, but nationwide. They offer affordable recording, mixing, and mastering built with creativity to best capture your art. Find out how Synergy can elevate your sound at synergymusicstudio.com today.
Nobody cares about the details, seriously. Not the logo, not the stitching, and not the tiny symbol that magically doubles the price of the t-shirt. Think about it. The shirt you're wearing right now and the one I'm wearing do the exact same job. They cover us, they keep us warm, and they stop us from being arrested for public indecency. The only difference is a swoosh, a rectangle, or a name that convinced you it was worth more money. That's where GenericClothes.com comes in. They skip the branding nonsense and get straight to the point. Shirts that literally say what they are. Sports team, political statement, music band. No hype, no pretending, just honesty and a sense of humor at the expense of big clothing brands. If you're tired of paying extra for a logo that nobody actually cares about, or you want the perfect gift for someone who actually gets the joke, head to GenericClothes.com. Nobody cares about the details. Get to the point.
Playing the ball where it lies. Lucas and Dom are back on WSRR Radio.
Welcome back to Behind Enemy Lines right here on WSRR Radio, brought to you by our proud partners at GenericClothes.com. Nobody cares about the details. Get to the point at GenericClothes.com. Don't sell out to big brand clothing empires and their prices. Make a statement at their expense with GenericClothes.com. We're doing a little bit of talk about clothes today because, really, Jerry Seinfeld once made a joke that professional sports is really just rooting for clothes. I don't know if you ever heard this stand-up bit from Jerry Seinfeld, but he was like, people every year, they're like, oh, I love this guy like so much, this player. And then he gets traded and he comes back to the city on the other team and they're like, no, don't like that guy now, wearing the wrong shirt. Don't like him. He's not wearing the clothes that I'm wearing. So, you're really just rooting for laundry at the end of the day. That's a Jerry Seinfeld bit that I'm stealing. But you can always root for GenericClothes.com. That's always good laundry.
Always.
That you can root for. But let's talk about some other laundry, some new laundry in people's closets. We talked a little bit about the defensive side of the ball in the first segment. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball here, Dom. Let's talk about the exciting stuff, scoring points. Who are you excited to see in New Jersey in 2026 that you think is going to make a big leap, maybe a big impact on their new team?
Well, of course, Michael Pittman. That's an easy one. I think that's a huge ad for the Steelers this season.
Is that your number one excited to see guy in on the Steelers offense?
New guy? Yeah, definitely. Or just guy in general, probably. He might be. DK I like a lot, but yeah, probably more excited to see Pittman on the offense. But if I had to pick one guy on the offense, it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's still he's still him, but getting him DK, Pittman, for a lot of good things about Roman Wilson in training camp so far. And then you have,
we've heard a lot of good things about Roman Wilson in training camp for the last 3 years out of Steelers training camp.
This time
I'm
it's
sick
real.
of hearing. I'm so glad that I'm not in Pittsburgh anymore to hear everyone be like, Roman Wilson looks like a good wide receiver 3 this year. Look out, he could be a steal in fantasy.
No,
I've heard that so many times in Pittsburgh.
Now here's the
in
thing.
Western Pennsylvania over the last 3 years.
Here's the thing. I thought the same thing at first when I was hearing Roman Wilson was ahead of rookie Jeremy Bernard in the depth chart so far. I was thinking like, oh, that's a bit surprising because, the last few years he just hasn't showed up when he's had the opportunities. But then someone mentioned to me that it's a fresh start. It's a brand new start. There's like whatever happened with Tomlin and the coaches and the coordinators beforehand, like that's in the past. You got a fresh, clean slate here. Mike McCarthy's coming in, like he might like what he sees here. So for that reason, it gives me hope that we could see Roman Wilson like this season start to develop into the player we thought he was going to be.
All right. Another guy that I think could be a huge offseason acquisition. I don't think, obviously, Roman Wilson has been there for a while. So I'm not going to hold my breath on the Roman Wilson hype train because, again, I feel like we have heard that for a while. They also have Jeremy Bernard coming in. They also have, what's the guy's name from Heinscheitel from Navy?
Heidenreich.
I want to see him get Heidenreich. There we go. I want to see him get some touches for the Steelers offense. He's a Western Pennsylvania guy, went to Mount Lebanon. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He's a Ginzer through and through. I think that's like a match made in heaven for him to come home and play for the Steelers. And you watch some of his highlights and it's like, yeah, this guy can make a difference. So Is he like, are we going to see anything of him? He'll probably be a return man, right?
Well, they drafted another guy, this Caden Weechin guy from Iowa
Iowa. Okay.
Yeah. Return specialist in college. So I think right now, I think that would be the plan. But yeah, I don't think they're planning on using Heidenreich. Maybe in special teams a little bit. But
I just
they got
hope
two
different like white special team guys now in Weechin and Heidenreich,
which is what we need. We needed a little more of that because Gunnar Olszewski, the last guy, was so good. So
I was gonna say, yeah, and you had Ben Skoranek there for a little bit.
Yeah,
Steelers know how to find those guys.
Yeah, so I think Heidenreich will get some opportunities, running the ball, but it's going to be an uphill battle with Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren ahead of him.
That was the next guy I was going to bring up as another offseason acquisition that I really haven't heard you or many Steelers fans talk about as much that I think, from the outside looking in, I would be a lot more excited about him is Rico Dowdle coming over from the Panthers. He had a really good year last year. I think Jalen Warren's still great and he still is he's lightning in a bottle, but he had some injury issues last year. And I think this is an upgrade at the second running back position over now I'm forgetting what his name is. I know he wore number 14. Kenneth Gainwell. There we go. Thank you. For the Steelers last year. I think this gives them a lot more depth, a lot more of now they have 2-3 down backs in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a good point. But Steelers fans, I think the reason it's been pretty quiet, a pretty under the radar signing is they loved Kenneth Gainwell so much. I loved him too. He was fantastic in the role. But I think Rico Dowdle, like you said, he's going to be more of an every down back type of guy. So if Jalen Warren goes down, we won't have to worry as much. Rico Dowdle is perfectly capable of being the guy.
All right, perfect. Well, yeah, we got the Steelers did a lot of new laundry this year, a lot of new guys, especially, obviously the biggest one probably is their head coach in Mike McCarthy. So a lot of new stuff to look for and look forward to in Western Pennsylvania.
I would say outside of the Steelers, my favorite offensive move this year was DJ Moore going to the Bills, coming from the Bears. I think that's a huge upgrade in the receiver room for the Bills. Josh Allen finally gets a real, true weapon since Stephon Diggs.
Real wide receiver one.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be massive for the Bills. Outside of DJ Moore, I think it's still a little shaky. Keon Coleman, you just have no clue what you're going to get with him. But he's another guy who kind of is going to get a fresh start with a new head coach in Buffalo. So, he could, I think this is a prove it season for him. He's still like 23, which is crazy because he's a first round pick like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then of course still Khalil Shakir, who's a solid slot guy. And
that's right. And we talked about them a little bit last week. We talked about them a little bit last week in the overs and unders. So again, if you haven't heard that, go back on Spotify and listen to our picks for every team's overs and unders in the 2026 season. Another receiver, same division as DJ Moore, that I'm interested to hear your take on, because I could see you going either way on this guy. I could see you kind of saying that he's not going to be, the guy that they want him to be. But AJ Brown in a Patriots uniform. Again, we did touch on him a little bit last week, but I think this is going to be a big help for Drake May. It seems like in the videos that are coming out of training camp that he's doing a lot for their offense, and I don't see why they wouldn't use him a lot.
Yeah. Well, do you think he's going to be the same guy that he was?
The same guy. He might. Why can't he be a better guy?
I just think how old is AJ Brown right now? Seems like he's been in the league for a while. So he's 29 still. Seems like he was on the Titans like 15 years ago. But 29, he could still deliver. I think he's a guy who's just a true gamer, like one of the most competitive guys in the league. A huge, I think, upgrade from Stephon Diggs last season as the number one guy. The biggest issue in the Super Bowl was who's going to get open. If they get to that point again, you got a guy who can get open. It's a good signing. I have my doubts that he's going to be able to reach the same level of production. But then on the other hand, you could argue that he is a better quarterback. So
he's got a better quarterback. He might the system around him might be set up better because there's not he is the true wide receiver one now. And I think that he kind of was in Philly, but a lot of people still looked at Devontae Smith as Devontae Smith is a Heisman winner. He's a stud. He's the guy that we're going to on gotta have it plays a lot of times. And it's a lot different offense too, because they don't have, Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs and offensive lines too. I think he's going to see more targets this year, in all honesty.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of exactly what he wants too. So I think it's going to be a good fit for him. I think overall, he'll be happy in New England.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be an interesting season in New England with AJ Brown, and I still think this Vrabel stuff is not over.
Yeah, that could be. There's a lot still going on there. On the offensive side of the ball, another mover at the most important position in football that we talked about again a little bit last week, and how big of a signing this is and how good they have the potential to be now with this guy, Kyler Murray, going over to the Minnesota Vikings, which I think is not really, I don't want to say a match made in heaven anything, but it's the perfect... They're meeting at the perfect time in their timelines. The Vikings have everything else. They're in a window to win with everything else. They have Justin Jefferson at the prime of his career. They have a great defense. They have pretty much everything else, but they didn't have a quarterback. And Kyler Murray was in a really bad situation in Arizona for a long time. He hits free agency finally. He gets to go to a good team here where he doesn't really have to do a ton. He can kind of play within himself and still, go out and just be the good athlete and be the playmaker that he is, and they can win a lot of games. I think this is, again, I said it last week, but this is a signing that I think almost puts them in, Super Bowl contender conversations.
Yeah, the upside is huge for the Vikings. They could be an amazing team, but if things don't go well, I think this whole situation is a ticking time bomb, because then what happens to Kyler Murray? Does he get another chance? What happens to Kevin O'Connell? Does he get fired from the Vikings? I think there's a lot of guys in this organization who are kind of who are on the hot seat, I'd say. So it's a everyone, like, you got your back against the wall here. We're gonna see how they play with that type of pressure. The upside, like I said, is up there with like the best teams in the league, but there is a chance that things go sour here.
Very interesting. All right, what's your outlook? What's your outlook for the Vikings season this year? Like, are you scared to play? Would you be worried if the Steelers met the Vikings in a must-win game?
Yeah, I'd be worried.
Yeah.
Offense, like Kyler Murray is tough to stop with his legs. He doesn't scare me as much throwing, but of course you have Justin Jefferson, who he's always going to get open. The run game doesn't scare me at all. I think Aaron Jones is still the number one running back, just crazy. And then defense, it's been really good the last few seasons. You still have Brian Flores as the D coordinator, so I think that's still going to be a solid part of the team. So yeah, I'd be worried to play them, but I'd still like the Steelers' chances against them.
I feel like every single year in the offseason, in free agency, there's a couple of guys who sign somewhere, and ESPN and the NFL try to make it a big deal and like really hype up this signing, but you kind of feel like this guy is going this other place to die. And I'm curious if you have any other people who you think are in this situation, but Mike Evans signing with the 49ers, in my opinion, is kind of one of those. It's going to be, you see the memes on TikTok of like Shaq in the Celtics jersey and, Anthony Davis now in the Wizards jerseys. And there's a lot of those guys who it's like they're washed. You see Dwayne Wade in the Cavs jersey, different stuff like that. I feel like in 5 years, you might look back and be like, oh my God, I forgot. That's right. Mike Evans went and played one more year in San Francisco. And I could be totally wrong, because I do like Mike Evans a lot. He just gets it done like no one else. He has, at least in the past. Took a little bit of a step back this past season with some injuries, but other than Mike Evans, or if you want to talk about Mike Evans a little bit more, like who else is in that kind of situation where it's like, oh man, like their career is pretty much over? Yeah,
there's not really anyone like in that exact situation. I think Malik Willis has been being cast out to a horrible situation, but he's still that's young. That's a
good one to pull, yeah.
But outside of that, I think Jalen Waddle is going to be good in Denver. Wan'Dale Robinson, I've never really been a huge Wan'Dale Robinson guy, so I don't think. Tennessee, again, has always been a place where receivers seem to their careers kind of fade out there. But yeah, Mike Evans is like the only guy who's like in this late stage of his career, and the only guy who's going to a team with an electrical substation next to their practice facility.
Yeah, that might just turn his hamstrings into Swiss cheese. I'm actually glad you brought up Wan'Dale Robinson, though. That's a guy who I actually think can go under the radar a little bit. And like, if you guys are fantasy football geeks and you really want to like get a guy that could end up being a steal as really their third receiver, I think Wan'Dale Robinson is a guy you want to look at in Tennessee, because I saw a video from Max Loeb. His name is Loeb's Leads on TikTok and Instagram. You might want to check him out. He's a very good football analyst in the Cleveland area, but he talked about Wan'Dale Robinson. He's one of the guys who had a very low touchdown dependency last year in fantasy football. So he had over 1,000 yards, and his total fantasy points, like less than 15% of them were from touchdowns. I think that touchdowns are very volatile too. So if like we're just talking about fantasy football, like Wan'Dale Robinson this year could even have a better year than last year. And he really performed great last year. So Wan'Dale Robinson's a guy that I'm looking forward to. He's on my fantasy team again. I'm hoping for another big year out of him, because if not, I'm kind of spinning my tires at the wide receiver position. I have the 4th pick tomorrow in the draft, in our rookie dynasty draft, and the top 4 like projected picks are Jeremiah Love, Fernando Mendoza, and then Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson. If I can get, I'm torn between going Jadarian Price at running back, or should I try to get one of these receivers? Because I'm guaranteed to get one of the three receivers, in my opinion, either Lemon, Tyson, or Carnell Tate. I feel like Tate's not going to be there, and unless someone takes Mendoza, more than likely Tyson won't be there either. How are you feeling at that 1-4 position, Dom? Like, what? I'm kind of, you're kind of my GM too. You've been my consultant on the team. Like, where do I go at this point? I'm leaning running back and getting Jadarian Price because I feel like he'll definitely be there. But at the same time, what do you think?
Well, to be fair, last year I think you had like the 8th pick, and you called me and you're like, it's either Caleb Johnson or like, I forget who the other guy was, maybe like Cam Scadaboo or something. I was like, you gotta take Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was not great advisory.
I led you astray on that one. But in this situation, I don't think you want Carnell Tate and Wan'Dale Robinson unless you really, really believe in Cam Ward. Yeah. So I don't think you want that. I'm not super high on Jordan Tyson in the NFL. I like Mekhi Lemon. I think he's going to fill the void of A.J. Brown to a pretty big extent. But I also like Jadarian Price a lot, too. I think he's going to be just like the guy as soon as he comes in. Like, they don't really have any other options with Charbonnet out. So I like Price a lot. He's in a great situation, so you can't go wrong with that. But I like Lemon, too.
You sold me on it. I'm going Jadarian Price. As long as he's there, I'm hoping he is.
Better be.
So we'll see. We'll see. That'll be a big one. Big day tomorrow in the franchise of Manu Ginobili. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. I'm hoping to get Price. Like I said, where are you at this year in your Dynasty League draft?
I traded up.
You already drafted. That's right. And you got Mendoza.
Yeah, I traded up about that? For the first, I traded for the second overall pick. The first guy took Love, and then I took Mendoza, which I traded up out of desperation because I didn't have a second quarterback. Like, it was Jaden Daniels, and then I have like Justin Fields and Riley Leonard and some other guys who probably aren't going to be playing too much this season. So I thought like, oh, Mendoza's the guy. And then like we did our draft so early, like the next week they gave Kirk Cousins a ginormous contract. So I don't think Mendoza's gonna be playing week 1. But everything I've heard about Mendoza, he's been grinding ever since training camp stopped. He's a first one in, last one out type of guy. He never leaves the facility. So like he's gonna be good in the NFL.
Hearing all the right things from the guy that you're about to crown your franchise quarterback.
That's right.
Stick with us here on Behind Enemy Lines, right here on WSRR Radio for more talk here. We got one segment left, maybe a little bit more LeBron talk. You'll have to stick with us through the commercials. Behind Enemy Lines, more after this.
Independent music has always been about doing things your own way, not cutting corners, not chasing trends, and definitely not handing everything off to someone who doesn't care about the end result. That's where Hellbender Vinyl comes in. Hellbender Vinyl is Pittsburgh's first and only custom vinyl record pressing plant trusted by artists across the country. They work hands-on with independent musicians to make sure each release sounds right and feels right start to finish. Every project includes 5 free test presses, so quality isn't a guessing game, it's built right into the process. So, if you're serious about your music and how it's released, don't settle for disposable formats. Press it with Hellbender Vinyl. Hellbent on quality, hellbent on service, hellbendervinyl.com.
Calling it like they see it. Lucas and Dom are back on WSRR Radio.
Welcome back to Behind Enemy Lines right here on WSRR Radio, brought to you by Hellbender Vinyl. Hellbender is Pittsburgh's first and only custom vinyl record pressing plant, perfect for local and independent artists who want to take their album release to the next level. Don't settle for a bunch of ones and zeros floating around the internet. Have a physical album release with Hellbender Vinyl. Hellbent on quality, hellbent on service, hellbendervinyl.com. We're talking about some off-season moves in the NFL, getting ready for the 2026 season. And we've been really nice thus far. We've talked about a lot of the guys who we think are going to have positive impacts, like their new cities, like their new spots. Their fan bases are going to like them, be positive additions. Let's go to the other side of things, Dom. Who do you think is just absolutely gonna end their career? Now, I kind of brought this up a little bit last segment, but like, who here is just signing for money at this point? They're getting paid, but they're not really going to make a huge impact. Because I got my eyes on one guy that I'm looking at, but I want to hear your opinion.
I'm gonna say David Montgomery. He had a great, phenomenal run in Detroit.
Okay,
but going to Houston, it's kind of a crowded running back room. A lot of guys who don't really stand out. But he's the oldest guy there. I think he's going to probably have a few good weeks early on, but I think you're going to kind of forget about him towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing when he first signed there. I wasn't happy. I'm a David Montgomery owner in fantasy, and I've really rode him a lot recently. Like in the last couple of years, I've been a big fan. I've had him since he was with the Bears, which I thought was a huge acquisition for us. And honestly, when he first signed with the Lions, I was like, "What are you going to the Lions for?" Like they got they have Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I think you can be a running back one, but so that was kind of the same thing that I initially thought when he went to the Texans. Was like, I don't know, like whatever. But now that the more I've sat with it, the more I think he'll kind of be in a similar role where some games he might get, it might be tough being a fantasy owner of him because I think some games he might get 10, 15 touches and other games he might get 6.
Yeah.
And it'll be really tough. But we'll see how that goes in Houston. But I could see him taking a step back and this not being the best year for him. But a guy who I think, I said it last segment about like someone who's going to a city to die. He's coming back to a city to die. I think this team saw him get the first overall pick for a different franchise last year. So then the Jets went out and got Geno Smith this year. He got traded to the New York Jets. I feel bad for Geno kind of because I think like he still has some juice left in him and like he can still, rally a team and organize an NFL offense and do all these things. But the Jets just have so little going for them. And I just don't think Geno's going to be the guy that gets it all together for them. So I feel bad for him. But yeah, Geno going to New York is like one of the least consequential moves of the offseason, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a better pick than David Montgomery.
Really?
Yeah.
I think David Montgomery could go one of two ways. So I didn't hate the pick. I like that you had an opinion on it at least. That you said, you know what? I'm going with it. That you said it with conviction. That's really what I liked about it.
Yeah. We're not just giving hot takes out here. We're backing it up as well.
That's exactly right. But so we got 5 minutes left. We can talk about the Browns offseason moves a little bit here. We are the Cleveland sports talk show from Pittsburgh, so I feel like we got to get a little bit of Browns talk in. Dom, in the break, you said to me, I heard that Deshaun Watson has been lighting it up, and I feel like I've kind of heard convicting reports. There's been some clips of him trying to throw no-look passes that are getting picked off. There hasn't been a ton of like clips of him where I've been like, ooh, that was very impressive or anything like that I've been wooed to give him my support. I still think the best option for the season is to start Shedeur Sanders and just ride him out. Maybe even give Dylan Gabriel another chance and Taylon Green. I'm really not expecting Dylan Gabriel to get another chance, but at the end of the day, if he comes in and he plays well, then why would I be upset? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. There's a lot going on in the Browns camp that gets me excited for years to come, but not for this year, to say the least.
Well, here's the thing. He's been taking drills with the first team, so that makes me think that the Browns kind of have an idea of who their starter is going to be. But something I saw yesterday, day 7 at Browns training camp, 7v7, 11v11 drills, Deshaun Watson went 17 for 20 with 7 touchdowns. Shedeur Sanders went 11 for 16, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Dylan Gabriel went 4 for 6 with 2 touchdowns. Taylon Green did not throw any passes in those reps.
Very interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, again, I'm kind of the same way on Deshaun this year that I was on Shedeur last year, where it's like if I had to choose who was going to be successful for this program and for this franchise, I wouldn't choose Deshaun Watson at this point. But if he's going to be successful, like, who am I to complain? Like, obviously, I want him to be successful because he's wearing an orange helmet and a brown jersey. Again, you're cheering for laundry. But like, I just feel like I would rather at this point win with Shedeur than win with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Or lose.
There's no one who I'd rather lose with than win with Deshaun Watson, in all honesty. I'd still rather win with Deshaun Watson than lose with anyone else, which is how you should be looking at your laundry. But I don't know. I just feel like moving forward for the future, it's best to just go with that. The things that I'm really excited about, though, are that Denzel Boston, excuse me, looks spectacular at wide receiver. Apparently, he's been the clear-cut wide receiver one. I haven't heard as much about Casey Concepcion, which does worry me a little bit because he was our first-round pick. I've heard that Fano looks okay, which is good. Jared Verse is sounding like a good leader and a big asset to this defense. Denzel Ward just keeps it going on the defense. I think it's still going to be an okay season for the Browns, but they're still not ready to win now because of the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Unless I can be surprised.
I don't think they're ready to win now, but they're in a situation where they'll be a winning team in a season or two.
Fingers crossed. That's
all we can do.
Only hope, can't we?
That's all we can do around here.
Watch. We can hope. Another guy to look out for, this is an off-season addition to stick on the theme of today, is Tylan Wallace, a guy who's had a couple of big moments for the Baltimore Ravens, a couple of big punt returns. I've heard that he actually has looked really good in camp. He's been on he's a Swiss Army knife type guy who can do a lot of special team stuff. But he's also been on like the receiving end of some big passes, made some nice catches. He's a guy who he's got a lot of speed and he seems like he has home run ability, which I think is something that this Browns offense has missed so much of, is just like the big plays.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that. Like, at least there's someone who's popping off the page a little bit and making some plays as one of the new, one of the acquisitions in the offseason.
There's
another offseason acquisition, by the way. Go ahead, Dom.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of young offensive playmakers on this team. Getting rid of Myles Garrett makes me think they're not ready to win in the quarterback situation. But outside of that, I'm not really big on Jerry Jeudy, but outside of that, you got a lot of really young receivers, Quinshon Judkins, of course, and then Harold Fannin Jr. I think he's going to just continue to get better. So the offense is still going to be productive. Defense still going to be solid. They're going to win a few games here. They're not going to be competitive against great teams, but they're going to be okay.
Never say never. Never say never. Speaking of off-season moves, by the way, just really quick in the last 30 seconds, the Madden 27 ratings came out. Devin Bush, who was a Brown last year, went to the Chicago Bears. Devin Bush's overall, which obviously this means nothing, but was top 10 in the game for linebackers.
Yeah, I saw that, which I didn't understand because, he was a Steeler too. He was never felt like a top 10 linebacker in the league at any point.
Even last year, he had some moments, but it was I don't know. I would put Carson Schlesinger as a better overall, the rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year over Devin Bush. But
I agree with that.
Not sure what the people at the Madden's overall adjustments are smoking, but you guys just stick with us here if you don't want trolling ratings. If you want the clear cut, the real salt of the earth take, stick with us on Behind Enemy Lines right here on WSR Radio. See you guys next week at 10 o'clock on your Friday morning.
Peace.
The preceding program was a sponsored production. The views, claims, and ideas expressed may not represent those of WSRR Radio.